Well, tonight, President Donald Trump will give his State of the Union address. It's the first one for his second term, and polling shows more and more people are concerned about the economy. He's also got some lower approval ratings. Stephen Maynard Caliendo joining me to preview what we could see tonight. Professor Caliendo, thank you for joining us.
Anthony, it's good to see you.
Okay, let's start off by talking about the likely focus here. Economically, okay, on the economy, what do you feel like he's going to focus on with regard to that issue?
It's a tricky one here. I mean, he certainly can point to the stock market, which has done very well over the past year, the first year of this administration. So he can talk about people's 401ks, et cetera. The fact is that people aren't feeling the economy, right? We know that inflation is not at the level that it was over a year ago, but that doesn't mean the prices have come down. It just means that they don't keep going up. And so the relief that he promised during the campaign in 2024 hasn't really hit households. So he's in a difficult predicament. He wants to certainly champion his accomplishments, but he has to connect with a public who really isn't feeling that right now.
Okay, another big issue is the partial government shutdown right now affecting the Department of Homeland Security. How might this impact the speech itself?
There'll be some references to it with respect to his immigration policies and ICE and Homeland Security generally. But I think the most important thing to note is that I think there'll be a number of Democrats who don't go. The last time we had a government shutdown, there was a request from the speaker at the time, Nancy Pelosi, to postpone the State of the Union until the government shutdown was resolved. We have not had that kind of request this time. And so the speech will continue. But I think there's going to be a number of Democrats who have some ideas for alternate programming tonight and will not be in Washington, or at least will not be at the Capitol.
Okay, some people expected to be at the speech. The Supreme Court justices, we've reported this week, the president not too happy with this group after that 6-3 decision to declare his tariff policy illegal. Do you expect the president to address the justices tonight?
It's one of the things I'm most looking forward to seeing, how he handles this. Look, President Trump has been better at staying on script during these joint session meetings than he is usually. Usually there's a speech for him and then he sort of goes off the cuff, and that's where he gets himself into all kinds of trouble. He does that sometimes in State of the Union, but he's mostly on script. I think it's going to be difficult for him as members of the Supreme Court, including two of his own nominees who ruled against him on Friday, are sitting right in front of him. He's very angry about this, clearly. We heard him on Friday in a long rambling address right after the decision was made. So he's upset about this, and I think it's going to be interesting to see if he calls them out directly or looks at them or makes jokes at their expense.
Okay, other issue a lot of folks are kind of focused on as well these days, the Epstein files. Do you expect President Trump to address that in any way?
I don't, but it's sort of the elephant in the room. In fact, there's going to be survivors in the room. That Democratic lawmakers, I know Ro Khanna and others, are inviting Epstein survivors to be there during the speech. Certainly, they won't be highlighted in the president's speech. He's in a very difficult predicament here too, where a year ago, the position of this administration was to release everything because they believed it was a big, important to do. And now the line is that it's mostly a Democratic hoax. About half the files have been released. The other half still have not been. And of course, you've well covered the issues with the redactions and so forth. And so I don't think this is an area that he's going to want to touch, although certainly Abigail Spanberger, who gives a Democratic response, will absolutely lean into the survivors in her remarks.
We also reported that Chuy Garcia from here in Illinois is going to have a guest. He's bringing Marimar Martinez along. She was the one who survived being shot by federal agents 5 times. In terms of the immigration crackdown, what do you expect to happen with regard to this dynamic tonight?
There's an opportunity for him to soften his language because Americans are not behind him on his immigration program. There certainly were behind him at the election time and believing that people who, especially as they say, quote unquote, the worst of the worst, Those folks who have committed crimes and are in the country without documentation should be deported. What we've seen, though, with video camera, with cell phone imagery, et cetera, and certainly the killings in Minnesota, the folks are not with him on this. And so whether it's members who are sort of pointing things out and bringing guests, as Chuy Garcia will be doing, or whether it's just relegated to the Democratic response, the president is going to have to thread the needle on this very carefully. But it is an opportunity for him to soften his position.
Okay, we'll see what happens. Stephen Caliendo, always good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Have a great day, Anthony.
All right, you too.